219 Nigerian schoolgirls are still missing 3 months after the terror group Boko Haram kidnapped them during final exams and threatened to sell them into slavery. With little international attention focused on their plight, yesterday the leader of Boko Haram released a 16-minute video, one which NBC cannot independently verify, in which he ridicules the rallying cry to save the girls.
Bring back our girls. Oh, bring back our army. Bring back our army.
The new video coincides with a meeting between the advocate Malala Yousafzai and Nigerian President Goodluck Jonathan. Yousafzai, who was shot in the head by the Taliban for promoting women's education, chose to spend her 17th birthday in Nigeria and announced that her birthday wish was for the safe return of the missing girls.
I consider those girls as my sisters. They are my sisters, and I'm going to speak up for them until they are released. And I am going to participate actively in Bring Back Our Girls campaign to make sure that they return safely and they continue their education.
Boko Haram translates to Western education is a sin, and its terror campaign has been ruthlessly effective at keeping young girls out of school. In the northeast region of Borno, the same area where the girls were abducted, terrorist bombings have kept schools closed for 120,000 children. Does this mean that Boko Haram is winning? Nicholas Kristof writes in the New York Times, a fierce ambition to study explains why those 219 girls in northern Nigeria showed up to take their final exams, even though they knew the risks of terrorism. Some of those girls dreamed of becoming teachers, doctors, lawyers, and now they may be enslaved in a forest and perhaps married off to Islamic militants. Boko Haram is assassinating teachers, attacking schools, and kidnapping students because it knows that literacy is the enemy of extremism. Terrorists understand the power of education. Do we? Joining me now is New York Times columnist Nick Kristof. Nick, it's great to see you.
Good to see you, Alex.
Is Boko Haram actually getting stronger after all of this international attention paid to the sort of the violence, the brutality of their actions? Last month, they potentially extended their reach to Lagos, which is the commercial center of Nigeria. You saw the video that we played. It's not, of course, confirmed, but the leader of Boko Haram seems in no way cowed. Have they actually, is their strength increased?
I'm not sure that their strength has necessarily increased in the last few months, but they haven't been weakened. I mean, this was an opportunity for Nigeria and the surrounding countries to really put a dent in Boko Haram, and that has not happened. And the military of Nigeria seems to be withdrawing from any confrontation with Boko Haram because it feels overpowered. And instead, its practice is to pick on young Muslim men in northern Nigeria and attack them, and that just creates more sympathy and support for Boko Haram.
What about the international attention? We know that the Bring Back Our Girls hashtag launched 1,000 Instagram photos from notable people, from the First Lady to celebrities to artists and musicians, and I think for those folks who are familiar with advocacy campaigns, that was a great moment, and yet it was so short-lived. Those girls are still missing. They have not been brought back home. How distressing do you think the evaporation of international attention is?
Well, I mean, unfortunately, its main impact on Nigeria, on all that pressure on Nigeria, was not for the Nigerian government to actually go and try to improve education or try to get back those girls, but rather for the Nigerian government to hire a public relations firm for $1.2 million to try to improve its international image. And it also has not, I mean, look, it's hard to rescue those girls. We don't know exactly where they are. Maybe the intelligence community does. We don't. But if that outrage could translate into more support for girls' education globally, then that would be a great thing. And instead, in the last few years, global financial support for education has actually declined. So it really is sad to see this enthusiasm wane so quickly.
Yeah, to that point about combating terror and the sort of priority we've put on drones and unmanned aerial strikes as opposed to education and sort of the soft power stuff that America used to be better at, or at least used to invest in more. The U.S. American international aid for education is down 43% from 2010. How do we change the narrative on that? I mean, that is a downward trajectory for something that should be on an upward trajectory.
Absolutely. And you know, I think that the public in the West just doesn't get the impact of education, and there's this natural kind of affinity for blowing things up because that seems to be effective. And look, surely we need the military toolbox, and the military toolbox is effective in some cases, but nobody understands better than the military that there are weaknesses there, and that's why the military, for example, in Afghanistan was such a proponent of education, because they understood that you need the education toolbox as well. And I just find it so sad that extremists who are living in medieval times understand the transformative power of education, and we don't.
Let me ask you, in terms of just back to Nigeria, and good luck, Jonathan, for a moment. It is shocking to me that the military in Nigeria has not debriefed all the girls who escaped captivity from Boko Haram. And as you said, the Nigerian government hired a PR firm to help deal with this crisis. We talked about the international attention sort of putting pressure on Nigeria. What is another lever that can be used? Is it renewed international attention? What moves the Nigerian government to do the right thing, which is to renew its efforts to rescue 219 captured schoolgirls?
You know, I mean, I think the only things we can do are to try to highlight this, create pressure, not just on Nigeria, but on the surrounding governments, on Niger, on Cameroon, on Chad, and try to, in a sense, form some kind of a pincher that does limit Boko Haram. And we can also work with the Nigerian military and try to raise the cost when they go out and slaughter young Muslim men in the north, and thereby create more support. But at the end of the day, there's only so much you can do pushing from afar. And unfortunately, so far, the President, Goodluck Jonathan, and the Nigerian military just have completely dropped the ball on this. And I mean, Malala is the only grown-up out there. Yes,
a 17-year-old who on her birthday renewed the wish to get them free. It is a shocking turn of events, or not so, a slow-motion shocker, if you will. The fact that this has played out over the course of a quarter of a year.
And I mean, of course, it's not just those girls, but there have been so many other teachers who've been attacked, schools have been attacked, girls who aren't able to attend school. And, you know, it would be great to see this become a moment when we can support education more broadly.
Well, part of it begins with people writing great columns, renewing our attention on it. Nick Kristof, always good to see you. Thank you for writing what you do.